Hello, welcome everyone. This is Frank Casal with the Outsourcing Institute, and welcome to the first of what we're calling Take 5 Expert Interviews, which in essence is a 5-minute telephone interview with a variety, what will be a variety of experts in the field of outsourcing and or technology. The person that was brave enough to join us for our first discussion is Sath Sathyanarayan. I know him as Sath. He's the president of Offshoring Success, and Sath also happens to be a senior advisor to the Outsourcing Institute. He's certainly one of my go-to guys for offshore questions. His expertise is really working with companies who are looking to get the savings they originally thought they were going to get by offshoring. And more often than not, they don't. So I don't want to steal too much thunder from Sath, but that's what we're going to be focusing on in the next 4 minutes or so. And this is first of a series of maybe 3 or 4 that we will be doing. Sath, welcome. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for joining in this experiment. I appreciate you doing that, my friend.
Thank you, Frank. Glad to be here.
So, Sath, before we get going, just as a little backgrounder, can you, with our audience, just give just a brief backgrounder on kind of your expertise and what you do at Offshoring Success?
Yeah, you bet. Very quickly, I have been in the outsourcing offshore arena for nearly 20 years. Initially as a senior executive at Tandem Computers, now part of HP, responsible for all offshore outsourcing for the company. So I have had executive and hands-on responsibilities in launching and running offshoring. For the last 12 years or so, I've been advising a lot of companies across the board on how to become successful in offshore outsourcing. One of the major areas that I work with clients is to help them get real value out of their outsourcing, because many of them are not getting it today. So that's a quick background. Frank,
no, wonderful. I appreciate that. So let's get down to it. Now, you had mentioned something to me last time we spoke that close to half of organizations that get involved with offshore outsourcing, when it comes down to the actual cost savings that they anticipated or that were proposed to them, or that they just assume they would get, they're not getting anywhere near those cost savings. Do I have those stats right?
I think that you have the facts absolutely right, Frank. Here is some of the kinds of comments that I get from my clients and people in the industry. Recently, one of my clients said, Sath, I don't know what the heck happened, but we have gone over budget, and then we are not getting cost savings anywhere near what we expected. We thought that going to India and places like that, there is a labor cost differential of 1:3 or maybe sometimes more. But what I'm really finding is it is pretty difficult to measure how much savings we're even getting after all. After all the pain that we are putting our organization through, I don't see the benefits. So their question was, you know, what we thought were lots and lots of dollars are turning into nickels and dimes, and I really don't understand it. This whole program is out of control. So these are the kinds of comments that I get from my clients.
Okay. So one theory is that all of these offshore players are just kind of full of it and they're making up numbers. And it's fair to say it's not that simple, right? And that's not the case. What would you attribute as the most common reason, or what are the most common reasons of how that comes to be?
Yeah, Frank, the first thing I want to say is I concur with you. There are a lot of companies which are in fact leveraging offshore resources very successfully. What it really, fundamentally, what it takes is you do not simply throw it over the wall and expect it to work. There are a range of things that you have to do. But let's address the question of what are the areas that they really need to be thinking about that actually cause these problems. meaning that things that are that they're not realizing the right savings. Okay, by looking at all of the different situations, I come up with about a half a dozen things that are common themes, and I'm going to list them here. The first one is poor vendor selection. From the get-go, they have made a mistake. We'll elaborate on this later on. The second one, once they have picked picked a vendor, their contract that they put in place is not the right one. There are some issues there, potential issues that I see. And the third is the vendors tend to make a lot of promises, but they do not keep them. This is what I call as broken promises. Fourth one, low offshore productivity. We are paying less offshore, but if it takes more people to deliver the same value, some people ask me, show me the money, where is the savings?
Right.
So it is really all about low productivity. And the fifth one is high turnover. You would like to think that with the numbers of people in places like India and China, it should be easy to get the people. However, competent people, highly trained, skilled people are in high demand, and turnover rates are pretty high, and there are some root causes that I will cover later on. And the sixth and the last one in all of this is the excessive escalation, meaning that the offshore people, let's say you're in the support organization, they handle the easy calls, and anything that's difficult gets automatically escalated to the headquarters. All of these mean that it takes more money to make it happen, meaning that you are saving less.
Okay, so, and is this something you're seeing most commonly amongst first-time outsourcing clients, if you will, or are you seeing opportunities for additional cost saves, meaning once these relationships are normalized, are there opportunities even with the more experienced buyers and the bigger companies as well?
There are opportunities in both places.
Okay. So, Sath, I have to mention to you, and if I didn't initially, what attracted me to this topic is I've had dozens and dozens of discussions in recent months with buyer members of the Outsourcing Institute who are under pressure to find additional cost saves. So some of them are looking to new areas that they haven't outsourced yet. Some of them are looking to new vendors. Some of them are renegotiating contracts. And what we have here, I believe, could be a gem of an opportunity for many of these members who could learn from from your experience and some of the best practices that you'll share in the series as to how they could increase the cost-saving opportunities within these existing relationships. Is that a fair?
Frank,
am I overly setting expectations?
I think it is a very reasonable expectation to set up. Absolutely, if people would devote time and learn how to manage their existing offshoring relationships better, there can be significant cost savings. Let me give you a couple of examples. In one case, we improved the cost savings by about 25%. Compared to what they were getting. At the other extreme, which is, I have to point out, it's an outlier as opposed to normal, we were able to double their cost savings. So all of that went into directly to their P&L, right? I mean, this all means that you need to go tweak the system as opposed to invest huge tons of money. And the rewards can be really significant. Absolutely. The net.
Well, Seth, those are dramatic. Any number within that range is significant and would be attractive to most client organizations out there. I'm looking at the clock. I promised our members somewhere around 5 minutes. I think we're just about there. Seth, thank you again. Give us a hint as to what we'll be talking about next in the next segment.
Yeah, in the next segment, I'll take the first one. That is a potential cause for these kinds of problems. That is poor vendor selection. And I'm going to expand on why that happens and more importantly, what can your members do about it?
Okay, great. And for those of you listening to this recorded discussion, you should have a slide in front of you if you're dialing in from a computer. If you're not, you can contact Sath at offshoringsuccess.com. Sath at offshoringsuccess.com. And I encourage you to do so. He's a great guy, and again, one of my go-to guys. Sath, thank you again, and I look forward to the next segment.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Frank.